It's October 2nd, 12:30 p.m. and I'm just checking on the hives. And this one, the swarmed hive that got split, is actually starting to look a little bit better. Now I have the bottom entrances reduced and all the entrances basically reduced. So it might look busier than it actually is, but they're looking much better than they were. This colony, I feel totally confident about them. The last time I checked on them, the top box was almost full of honey. I see lots of bees coming and going from this hive with pollen. They got a feeder on them, so they're good. This is the other part of the swarmed hive. This is the part that made that basically became a split, and this is the part that has the queen. They made their own queen. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, I've had this entrance reduced for a while, just because I wanted to be safe. I'm probably going to keep that reduced for a little bit. Right now they don't have a lot of honey and they don't have a lot of bees, to be honest, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to just keep feeding them, and even though there might not be much time for them to cap that syrup for the rest going into the winter, I'm just going to risk it and just feed them until they won't take it anymore, because they don't have a lot of honey and I don't have much other choice. The other choice is I could reduce them down to 2 mediums, which is about just a little bit more, basically a deep, and I don't really want to do that. And this is one of my older colonies. Again, it's okay shape but not great. I did get some honey off it. It's the one hive that gave me honey in this bee yard. This one is, I got a feeling I'm going to just get rid of this colony. This was created from a queen that I got off of a breeder, or well, a queen cell that I got off a breeder, and none of the queens bred well, and they didn't mate well, and anyway, it was really late in the season and it just didn't work out. And this is just the queen she doesn't look like, she looks really small, she's skinny and doesn't look like a good queen, so she might be gone. This one is obviously my second queen from 2021. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this one. It's looking better. They're not taking down much syrup though, but the only problem is it's only a 2 medium hive again, and I'm not too happy about that. I don't want to do 2 mediums on any of them. And this one, this colony was strong for a long time, and now this year it didn't produce any honey, and they didn't requeen either. And this is why I was hoping to get some queen cells earlier in the year and then just mate them here. But none of that mating worked out well. So the only successful mating I really had was with the split. So today I am going to, I'm just going to see what I can see. I got some pollen patties, some protein patties. I'm going to dump on the stronger colonies. The weaker colonies, they don't even take it, right? It takes them forever to eat to a pollen patty because there's just not that many bees, right? Anyhow, so this one I don't think I need to check on. This one I feel like I should check on this one, and this one I feel like I should check on this one too. But I don't know, we'll see. So this is a hive top feeder, and it holds a lot of syrup. And I don't know if these bees are going to take it. It's not a really strong colony, and sometimes you need a large cluster to come up and look for the honey, or look for the syrup like that. So we'll see. But they're weak, they're not really strong, and this top box is just basically empty. So they need a lot of honey, a lot of syrup soon. So I'm going to load them up and see what happens. Alright, so this hive, the swarmed hive, is looking better than I expected it to. There are more bees up top than there was last time I was checking them out, and they're making honey. I can see they're capping a bit of honey, but they still need lots of honey. So I'm also going to give them this pollen patty. Score the bottom side of it, give them something to dig into. Scoot them out of the way. Now I'm going to have the feeder right in the middle of that, right? A jar feeder right now. So I'll just get them out of the way. So I can put this pollen patty on, or protein patty. There we go. They're pretty chilled out bees. Okay, and now, so right now they've got an empty jar feeder. I'll be back later to fill up that jar feeder and put it over that hole of the inner cover. So they've got a pollen patty, which I don't know. I'm not 100% they're going to go for it, but anyway. And they could use something more than just a jar feeder. The jar feeders are okay. I think it's okay for the spring. You know, get some. You just give them a trickle of syrup, gets them going, wakes them up a bit. But for the spring, or for the fall, you just want them to load up as much syrup as they can, right? And thick syrup too. And so you'd want, the best thing is something like this, really. A big feeder like that, or even something like this, right? But a little bit of a jar feeder, it just gives you a little. So you can see the jar feeder has a few holes there. I could probably poke a few more holes in it, but the syrup just sort of, you know, leaks out of these holes. It's not a steady flow like you're going to get out of a feeder like this or a feeder like that once I fill it up with syrup. So to get them to drink it down as fast as possible, you give them as much as possible. You give them more access, and jars just give or limited access to the syrup. They'll still suck it all down, but it just takes them longer to do it. So this one has a jar feeder as well. And I meant to, what happened is I pulled the jar feeder off the last time I was refilling it, but all the bees came out of the hole, and then I couldn't put the jar feeder back over the hole, so I just took 2 Jenga blocks and I just held it up over the hole, sort of on those Jenga blocks, and they still sucked it down. But anyway, they need more syrup. So, and how many? Yeah, I don't know. I'll just keep giving them syrup and hope for the best. This is the hive that it's only got 2 mediums on it, and it's looking okay, but I just wish it had another box on top of it. So I've got they've consumed 1 pollen patty I gave them. So I'm going to put another one on too. I'll put it up front, because I think these guys are going to need more syrup. And I got to somehow get more syrup into that hive. So this hive also had a hive top feeder on it, and here's the hive top feeder. But they weren't sucking it down, and I think it might have been because the syrup might have been slightly spoiled. You can see there's a bit of all that black discoloration. That's mold. So I think I need to clean out this box, give it a good wash down with vinegar or something, and then start using it again, because they just weren't sucking that down. But anyway, they're looking okay, but they still need more syrup or more honey, if I can get some honey from another hive. And I do have another hive that has a medium of honey on it, and I don't know if I can take it yet, so I'm going to find out. So anyway, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so this hive is just not looking good at all. There's no bees up in the top box, and so they're only down to see. This is a write-off. I'm just going to take this apart and take all the best pieces of honey and brood and whatever, and just put them in my other weaker hives, because this queen, I can tell this queen is not really, she ain't a winner. She's got to go. So I'll try to, maybe I'll keep her in storage if I can, but yeah, this is not going to make it through the winter. So I'm not going to waste any resources trying to pump them up, make them strong. Yeah, see, this is the bottom box, so the queen is down there somewhere in that cluster. So this is a waste of time. I don't think either she's dead or she's not laying or something, but that's just not going to make it. So I just put an escape board underneath this super. There are a few straggling bees up here, so they'll make their way down. I could just pull it off as it is now, but I just don't want to fart around with it. So those bees will go down to that super down there. But boy, there's not a lot of bees in there. However, this top box is heavy, so I should be able to salvage some frames of honey to put in my other weaker colonies. Probably, well, I've got plenty of those going around. So yeah, at least I'll get some honey out of it. But that's completely a write-off. I'm not going to bother trying to save these bees, because they're not even close to being as strong as they need to be. So that's okay. So even though I'm losing a colony, but it wasn't never an established colony anyway, but even though I'm losing that colony, you gain so much when you lose a colony. You gain all of that drawn comb, and you get honey for the bees other bees going into the winter. So it's nothing's gone to waste. So I'm not worried about this hive, or the bees living in this hive, but And I was going to put another pollen patty on, but you can still see they've got a little bit of syrup left in that feeder, so I don't want to spill syrup all over the place. So I'm just going to let them suck that down a bit, probably until later today, and then I'll remove it, clean it up because it is a bit dirty, get some mold happening in there, and then I might give them another pollen patty. But of all the colonies in my little bee yard right now, this is the one that I have the most confidence in. It's really looking great. It's solid. The queen, she's a nice young queen. She's laying like young queens do. The bees are just bringing in tons of pollen, and they're really just working that hive. And they've got that syrup to just top them up. So they're looking great. So this is the hive on the hill. And they're looking okay, but again, not great. I got a feeling that queen has actually slowed down a lot, and she's not laying much, and she could die over the winter, but I was going to have to roll the dice on that. You see, though, most of these top frames are getting filled with bees, so that's good. But I can see they need more syrup, though. They're not. These frames are not full. So I will, however, give them a pollen patty. It's not really pollen; it's protein, but it's artificial pollen. But they don't know. They don't care. If they're hungry, they'll eat it. So this one, they're looking okay, but I can tell though there's something. It's just not like it was a fairly strong colony in the spring, but somewhere near the end of the summer they just shut down, and I think the queen is just old. She's slowing down, and they didn't supersede her, so they're left with an old queen who's not laying much. And hopefully that'll be enough though to get them through the winter, and I'll replace her as soon as I can in the spring, or I'll have to leave it to them to replace her. But that's rolling my dice. Number 11 up there on the hill. I wouldn't be surprised if the queen dies over the winter, but it's just, she's on the edge for sure, I'd say. And that's it. Beekeeping for me today, all done. And this is a shot. This camera was taking a time-lapse shot. It was going from here, going over the past, I don't know, hour and a half or so. So I'll take a look at that later. Anyhow, so that's it. That's my bee yard. I've got 4 other hives in 2 other locations, and those bees are in better. All my bees outside of Flat Rock are in better condition than the bees in Flat Rock. And yeah, that's it for today. I picked up this little thing a little while ago, but it's funny. I'm so used to, I've been keeping bees for about 11 years now without this thing, and it's this frame holder. You know, you put it on the edge of your supers when you're inspecting your hive, and you just rest your frames on that. And I just don't do it. I'm just so used to not doing it that I barely even think to use that thing. I put my frames, just rest them on the side of the hive, or I put them in an empty super, which is usually what I do. I just have an empty super laying around when I'm beekeeping, and I just put extra frames in the super, and it holds it just as well as that. But anyway, whatever. Whew, it doesn't take long to get hot. So overall, I'm not like overly enthused by what I see in these hives. None of them are exactly where I'd like them to be. This one is looking the best. I know that queen is laying well, and they've got honey, a solid block of honey up top, so I think they're going to be fine. But they don't have enough honey. Nobody else really has enough honey. This guy's might. And none of them really have a lot of bees either. They should have a lot more bees. So it's really... I should have been on top of this earlier in the year, like let's say late August. I should have begun feeding definitely by the 1st of September, and I didn't. I didn't even start feeding until like a couple weeks ago. So yeah, when I salvage this hive, this is basically a dead colony. That'll help out a lot. I'll probably even if I get only 1 medium of super of honey off of that, that'll be huge. That'll be enough to put one of these, like say this one's in okay shape, but they just don't have enough honey. So I'll probably just take a full honey super off of that and plop it on top of that, and they should be okay. But really, this is my new queen. This is a new queen, and this is a new queen. This is also a new queen, but she's no good. So I really just want to get the new queens through the spring, because new queens are the best queens, you know, usually. And so I don't want them to die. And the ones that are old, this is an old queen. and that's an old queen. So as soon as I can next spring, I'm going to make some splits out of some of my stronger hives in my other locations, and I'll replace this queen and this queen, and we'll see. Whee!